video is on question 28 of the 2012 TSA paper, and here we're asked which option is a conclusion that can be drawn from the passage. And remember, in this type of question, we're looking for something which isn't explicitly said that we can draw from the passage. And this is the passage that we're given. So we're first told that everyone is exposed to low background levels of asbestos, this is a harmful mineral, in the environment without evident risks to people's health. The author says that there is absolutely no reason to be concerned about this exposure. And finally, they say that exposure to asbestos in buildings where it is both present and in good condition is not normally that different from background exposure. So that's the passage. And what's actually being said here? Well, in sentences 1 and 2, the author seems to be saying that we shouldn't be concerned about background exposure. That's basically what the author is saying in the first few sentences. What about in sentence 3? Well, in sentence 3, the author is basically saying that asbestos in buildings and in good condition, asbestos which is in buildings and which is in good condition, is like background exposure. So we have to draw a conclusion from these two statements. So what do you think is going to follow from the two statements? First, that we shouldn't be concerned about background exposure, and second, that asbestos in buildings in good conditions is like background exposure. Well, what seems to follow is that we shouldn't be concerned with asbestos which is in buildings and which is in good condition. So now we're going to take a look at some options to see if there's an option which matches this. So here are our 5 options, A to E, and we're looking for this conclusion here. Can you see this conclusion in options A to E? Well, it looks like D is saying pretty much the same thing. Remember, our conclusion is that we shouldn't be concerned with asbestos in buildings and in good condition. And D is saying there's normally no reason to worry about asbestos, which is both in the home and in good condition. So it looks like D is a conclusion that can be drawn from the passage. But let's try and eliminate the other options. Option A says that asbestos is harmless wherever you encounter it. Now, the author is not saying that asbestos is harmless, rather than just saying that we shouldn't be concerned about it when it's in buildings and in good condition, because this is like background exposure, and we shouldn't be worried about that. So the claim that asbestos is harmless is too strong, and we can't infer it from the passage. What about option B? This says that asbestos in the home in bad condition poses a serious risk to health. Now, the author only implies that asbestos in the home in good condition does not pose a serious risk to health. However, it doesn't necessarily follow that asbestos in the home in bad condition does pose a serious risk to health. So B doesn't follow from the passage. What about C? C says that the dangers of using asbestos as a building material have been greatly exaggerated. Now, there's nothing in the passage where the author talks about what people think are the dangers of asbestos. So while the author discusses how dangerous they think asbestos is, they give us no gauge of what the public opinion on the matter is. And so there's nothing in the passage from which we can infer that the dangers of using asbestos have been exaggerated. So nor does option C follow. And that leaves option E as the final one to eliminate. This says that removing asbestos from a building is more hazardous than leaving it in place. Now, the author doesn't talk about removing asbestos at all from buildings. And so option E is simply irrelevant. And that leaves option D as the correct option.